So I'm going to take it away here and kind of go over, sort of the state of the union, where we are today with vPro. I mean, it's not anything new. As Eric was saying, I mean, this has really been out there for a number of years, and there's probably a bunch of machines that already have it. And we've always been able to access vPro through the remote control tab, either through, we can do power management, schedule machine to shut down or turn on, do the remote ISO boot, talk about that in a little bit. But it all starts with a land watch. And, we've talked about land watches before, the ability to kind of monitor your network and see new machines come. But what you can do is once it's set up, you can basically check the box to enable a vPro scan, put in the username, and put in the password that you've used for that machine. And then Kaseya will go out there, identify it as a vPro enabled machine, and then it will show up in the remote control tab and give you the ability to again, power it up, power it down. Okay? So all this has already been there. You just have to run the scans. Well, unfortunately, one of the things you have to do is you have to enable it. All right? So the challenge for us and for everyone is, look, how do we find those vPro capable machines in our inventory? Again, they've been out there for a number of years. A lot of you probably have sold it, maybe unknowingly sold it. So the idea here is we kind of worked on that problem, and the solution was to have a script that would scan the machines and return to you information on whether or not it's vPro capable or not. So in July, those of you that are virtual administrator clients, we published a script on our forum called the Intel vPro Discovery Script. Okay, we're making that script available to everyone. The link is there. You don't need to write it down. It's a long link. We'll send it to you. But the idea is that you would just simply, like any Kaseya script, you simply schedule this script to run on your machines. It's just kind of a one-time run it now thing, and once you've done running it, then you go to the reporting and you create a report. So it's a pretty simple report, like many of our audit reports. Just go in and create a report. Call it Intel vPro Discovery. Fill out the first page, make it either PDF is probably what I would use. And then the most important thing is here is that you're going to set this to tell how many days back. That's just a question of how long ago you ran it. So sometimes 7 days, 3 days, 30 days, it doesn't matter. But the key to this thing is the tag. And we use tags in our reporting. So you're going to do a search for the tag $vPro with asterisks on either side. And what that's going to do is that's going to return all of the machines in that network that are vPro capable or not capable. And this is a sample report that we've run. And it's actually really cool because this one particular client, we have like almost every example to show you, so it's perfect. So you can see here on this line, it's coming back telling us that this is not a vPro capable machine. So there's no ability to use vPro on there. On this other machine, it's saying that it is a vPro capable machine, but vPro has not been configured yet. So you do have the ability to turn on or enable vPro on that machine. We'll talk a little bit about that later. And it also, one of the other very important things is the AMT version. This is like the version of vPro for your machine. And there are different capabilities of vPro based on the AMT version. Okay, and I do want to be clear about that as a fellow MSP. I don't want to oversell. Like we're going to talk some pretty exciting things about the KVM remote control, but you have to understand that's only available on some of the later versions of vPro. So a machine you sold 4 years ago, you're not going to be able to KVM remote control the way that we're going to show you. You may have some like BIOS level control, but as soon as it gets to a graphics, it disappears. It's a progress. It's a progression. So in this case, we could go in there and enable that and at least power, deal with power management. And then this last one, kind of at the bottom here, sorry, kind of cut it off a little bit, is this is a machine that has the vPro it's capable and it's been configured. We've actually turned vPro on that computer. And again, it'll tell us the AMT version, so we know what we can do and what we can't do. So you guys can do that, as soon as you get off the call. Is download that script or look for the script. It's already on all of our servers. Run that scan, create the report, and look at your inventory and see. And by the way, using the keys, you can limit it to just machines. If you look at vPro Yes here, if you use that key, you can run, and it'll only show you the things that actually have vPro. So if you have 1,000 machines and you just don't want to get, the ones that are not, just use that key right there. $vPro Yes, $, and it'll only show you the machines that are vPro capable. Okay. All right. Sorry, let me erase that. So I want to talk real quickly about, what does it take to, and again, this is talking today. What do we have to do to enable vPro on a computer? And unfortunately, it's one of those things that you've got to touch the machine one time. You've got to sit down in front of the machine. You've got to reboot it. You've got to get into BIOS. And inside BIOS, there's going to be some settings that you need to configure. And these settings are different for each OEM, each manufacturer. They can vary slightly, and also the version of vPro. So, but the bottom line is, this has to be done, and you have to physically touch the machines to do it today, okay? And we're going to talk about some exciting stuff coming forward. But we got to enable vPro. Now, we did a Lenovo, we took a Lenovo desktop, and we did a YouTube video, basically a demo on all the steps needed to configure a Lenovo for vPro. And so if you get some time, again, we'll send you this link. Take a look at that, and you'll get an idea of what's involved. This is a fairly modern machine, so it'll give you some ideas of what today's settings are like, but it'll also give you a good idea if you have some older machines, sort of the steps involved in doing it. Intel does have some good resources on different manufacturers and how to enable vPro. Again, we're going to be sending you a bunch of resource, like kind of a resource packet links. We'll have it up on our website. At some point, we'll have a dedicated vPro page so that you can always refer back to it when you're configuring it. But it does require a one-time visit to do that today. Okay. All right. So once we get vPro configured, Eric talked about. Basically, we can power up a turned-off machine. So it does save us a trip out there having to, to maybe restart or to do power management. We have some capabilities of doing what's called an ISO boot. You can actually, using vPro, tell the system to boot an image that's located somewhere else, like on a NAS drive or another machine, a shared directory someplace. So it can actually boot into a whole nother operating system if you wanted to. Maybe do troubleshooting or something like that, or maybe it's the recovery CD, like the Butter recovery partition. And you've created the CD for that, and it'll just basically restore that machine. So there's always been some exciting things that you can do with vPro today. All right, but the real thing is, hey, what can we do tomorrow? And for that, we're going to jump into Mike. But before I do that, I kind of forgot to ask you guys a question. So I want to just throw this out real quick. Let me find my. A real quick poll question. Give me a second to get that up. So I'm just going to pop up a real quick poll question for you there. Just tell us, if you guys, are you using vPro, in your business today? How many people are actually using vPro? So if you can, just go ahead and vote on that real quick.
And Chris, one thing is, Eric, I just want to pop in again and just point out
sure.
that it's interesting that we have some tools developed at Intel where, that you can do kind of some mass updates, turn things on, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But then also, like the KVM feature, that's something that came out in our first generation core system that came out last year. So the good thing is some of these features that we're talking about, like, for example, power on and off and that ISO thing we're just talking about, that came out in the first generation of vPro back about 4 years ago. So the good thing is there's probably a large portion of systems who are managing, if they're back in our, our second year that came out, probably one of the first years that we had it in notebooks, that power management was there in the beginning. That booting from ISO,
Right.
that was there. So some of the newer stuff like KVM is the one that's probably like came out last year.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to. Maybe I didn't make that clear. That's definitely the case. Is the KVM remote control where you can actually watch the machine boot up in BIOS.
Yeah.
That's a recent generation. I think if I remember, is it 6.2 and up?
Yeah.
Mostly
so I just
7.
And I'm like a logo guy because I'm not good at knowing numbers. So the logo that says Core on it, that came out last year. It just says Core i5 or Core i7 vPro. As long as it says Core i5 and it's got vPro, Core i7 vPro, it's going to have it in there.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So everybody done? Everybody voted? Anybody last minute? So it looks, looking at that, it looks like most people, about almost 80%, do not use vPro today. So I guess that's good for us. I mean, hopefully we'll turn that number around a little bit and get you guys more of you using it.